Let's now talk a little bit about the man who is the most likely to replace Gavin Newsom in California if the vote to recall him decides to remove him. So remember, it's sort of like a two-part vote in next week's California gubernatorial recall. The first thing is, do you want to remove Gavin Newsom? If the answer is no, that's it. It's over. Newsom stays. And let's hope that takes place. If the answer is yes, then there is a sort of subsequent ballot where the question is, well, who do you want to replace Gavin Newsom with? The guy who's leading is a black conservative named Larry Elder, who has a long history of disgusting comments about abortion, about gay rights, about so many different things. He appeared on, I guess this is the Candace Owens show, which I guess is part of PragerU. Dennis Prager, part of PragerU. And Larry Elder, the guy who, if it's not going to be Gavin Newsom, has the best shot at being the next governor of California, said you can make the case that slave owners should have gotten reparations when slavery ended. Let's take a listen to this together.
Right behind them.
By the way, when you mentioned that the UK was ahead of us, they were. Do you know that the slave owners were compensated? After they lost their quote unquote property, the government compensated slave owners.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so when people talk about reparations.
Yeah, fascinating. Candace is really learning a lot here, huh?
Do they really want to have that conversation? Because like it or not, slavery was legal. And so their property, their legal property, was taken away from them after the Civil War. So you can make an argument that the people that are owed reparations, and not only just black people, but also the people whose quote property, close quote, was taken away after the end of the Civil War.
Isn't that just amazing, guys? Now, he says you can make the argument. There's lots of arguments that can be made but shouldn't be made. It's sort of like we're just asking questions where, yeah, it's an innocuous enough phrase, but sometimes the questions you're asking and the questions you're not asking and the answers that you're presenting, it's all very toxic and manipulative. Now, by the way, slave owners got reparations after the Civil War. It's not just that what Larry Elder is saying is vile. It's not just that there could be nothing more retrograde than electing as governor of California, of any state, but of California, because that's where we're actually looking at a recall here. It would be crazy to put a guy who talks about reparations for slave owners in the governor's mansion in California. Slave owners got reparations after the Civil War. On April 16th of 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed the District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act. The law prohibited slavery in the district, and it forced its 900 odd slaveholders to free their slaves. And the government paid the slave owners about $300 per slave. That's like $8,000 in modern money, inflation adjusted. Now, that wasn't in every state, but we've seen reparations for the slave owners, and it's all pretty damn crazy. Now, during this same interview, I want to look at one more clip of this. Larry Elder also added, black people get longer sentences, but for legitimate reasons. He likes the fact that there is a sentencing disparity for the same crimes along racial lines. Quite a guy, huh?
He hired Eric Holder, his AG, who once said, when it comes to matters of race, America has been a nation of cowards. And Eric Holder has called voter ID an example of pernicious racism.
Right.
He's called the fact that blacks get longer sentences, and they do so for legitimate reasons that judges take into consideration your entire criminal history.
Right.
He called that an example of pernicious racism.
Right.
He called the fact that black boys get kicked out more often than white boys do in schools an example of pernicious racism. Never mind their behavior. This guy has been a more dangerous race card hustler, in my opinion, than even Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton.
Because he's good at it.
Suit and tie, speaks calmly, and people have much more.
So there it is, guys. It is black conservative, quote, conservative Candace Owens learning from black Republican Larry Elder about why it makes sense that black boys would get harsher sentences for the same crimes than white boys. This is the leading alternative to Governor Gavin Newsom to become the governor of California. So just a reminder, fortunately, Gavin Newsom has been pulling away now leading, keep Gavin leading by almost 10 points over remove Gavin. But everybody in California must vote. We're going to have live coverage of results to the extent that we get them on the same day next Tuesday. And I hope you will join me for that. One of our sponsors is CuriosityStream, the only subscription streaming service that focuses exclusively on documentaries. If you love documentaries the way I do, you're missing out if you don't have a subscription to CuriosityStream. I love it for one reason. It has the biggest, best selection of documentaries that you'll find anywhere, including the newest popular ones that everybody's talking about. And most of it is stuff you really can't find on other streaming services. Last month, they added a ton of great new documentaries to the library. One I watched is Brimstone and Glory, about a pyrotechnic festival in Mexico. Random, but fascinating. CuriosityStream is giving my audience 25% off, meaning you can subscribe for just $15 a year. Not a big price tag relative to the hours and hours of enjoyment I know you will get from CuriosityStream. Just go to curiositystream.com/Pacman. The link is right underneath this video.